Yo, what's good, man? This is the Easy Pinch Out Podcast with your host, Glory.
And it's your girl, Alex. What's up, y'all?
All right, man.
All right.
Let's go. And here we have a special guest.
Uh-oh.
As you know. The reason why I started off like that is just to introduce you with a warm welcome.
Love it.
You know, for a lot of people that's going to be watching this, especially people from Buffalo, will actually know who you are. People from out of state will also know who you are because you do your travels here and there.
Hey.
You know what I'm saying? And last time I posted, I was like, we're having someone special, you know, Buffalo legend. He was like, not too much.
You should calm down.
You know, internationally known on this microphone, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, man, stop being too humble, man. Like, you got to let people know who you are. But, yeah, appreciate you for coming because we know you're a very busy person.
Oh, I appreciate y'all taking the time in this platform. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
Definitely. And so, yeah, let's start off by you introducing yourself. You know, tell people who you are, where you're from, and also what you do and your handles. Let's not forget that.
What's good? DJPNASTY Jr. I am from Buffalo, New York. You can find me on Instagram, DJPNASTY, as well as Facebook, DJPNASTY. Do a little bit on Snapchat, DJP-Nasty. But, again, Instagram, DJPNASTY, Facebook, DJPNASTY. Feel free to reach out to me any of that way. I'm also a Buffalo public school teacher as well of the Huntington High School. So very fortunate where I get to be with the youth every day, and I love that, everything about it.
Definitely. And we appreciate you for that, too, you know, because teachers, a lot of people don't really realize how hard being a teacher is, man.
And how important teaching.
How important teachers
We need teachers.
You know, teachers don't get enough credits, to be honest, and we give you that, you know, kudos to you.
Give you flowers, yes.
You know? He's the teacher. We could call him the coolest teacher because when I was in high school, I can tell you, like, he DJ'd at my prom, you know, my high school prom.
Tech.
Tech, you know what I'm saying? And let's go ahead and start this interview. And first, we want to start off by asking you, like, are you a Buffalo native? Like, were you born here, raised here your whole life?
So I started off, actually, I was born and raised in Lewiston, New York, which is about, 5 minutes from Niagara Falls. So my parents, you know, high school sweethearts, and I have an older sister as well, went to Lewiston Porter High School.
Nice. And then from there, what happened, like you coming to Buffalo?
Really just, honestly, I started going to Niagara County Community College. Didn't want to go there, but my mom, shouts to her, she told me, give it a shot if you don't like it. And I ended up going there and then went to Niagara University. And while I was at Niagara University, I got my windows tinted, and an electrician who worked with my uncle said, he said he had his DJ equipment set up, and I said, wow, you DJ too? He said, yeah. He said, you know, I got an event pretty much every weekend coming up all summer. If you want to shadow me, and at the time, like, it's going to sound, I'm going to really date myself here, but at the time, he was like, I'll pay you $10 an hour just to come hang out with me all summer.
Oh, $10 an hour back then was.
And to watch him DJ.
I was lit. You know, and it was more so like, it was more so the experience. His name was Mike Warren, so shouts to Mike Warren.
Shout out to Michael Warren, man.
Yeah, Mike, and my uncle for making that connection as well, my Uncle Vic.
Shout out to Uncle, yeah.
And Mike spent a lot of time with me and kind of let me do a lot of shadowing for pretty much a whole summer. And he said, throw on a suit and come with me to these weddings and get you some experience.
That's it. And then from there, you just took off, you know. You kind of like made it your hobby, something that you enjoy doing every single day.
I started teaching the Niagara Falls School District for about 3 years. I was a substitute teacher. You know, you want to talk about like really learning the craft of teaching. You know, I was a hungry teacher, $100 a day at the time. You know, they didn't have any full-time position available. And then, you know, Buffalo Public Schools picked me up. And once Buffalo Public Schools picked me up, I quickly, you know, was able to really make Buffalo my home. And I live up here now, too, so I love it.
Right.
So what made you want to be a teacher for real? Like, did you do that in college? Was that your major in college?
It was, but you know what made me want to be a teacher? Actually, I was a special education student myself. And through the dedication of my parents, as well as my sister, and I mean, shouts to God, obviously, too. Will he do it? You know, can he do it?
Come on.
Every time he does it, right? Amen. But, you know, really just seeing how I learned, and I actually tested out a special education program by 8th grade. And I started working the Boys and Girls Club in Niagara Falls, just a latchkey program. And I said, man, you know, and I started taking teaching classes at NCCC. And I said, well, this is good. I like it. I enjoy it. I love being the after school program was like, I think K to 4th grade or K to 5th grade. Not necessarily where I wanted to be, but the youth was where I wanted to be with. So,
right.
Yeah.
So we know that you are Buffalo Public School, but specifically high school. What made you want to start working with teenagers and then young adults? Yeah.
Because that's a different story.
Different personalities.
Especially like in this generation now, it's like a lot of kids, you meet all different personalities.
Yeah.
Yeah, you sure do. You know what? Just honestly, I would say working with these high school students really, it was probably a combination of being able to connect with them between music, shoes, and just finding ways to make the curriculum more. And being in different classrooms, a lot of times I pushed into classrooms or I was subbing, and I saw some areas where teachers, they just weren't connecting with them because they didn't understand the young adults that they were teaching in front of them. And, I would sometimes offer my recommendations, but they wouldn't always be up to taking it.
Right.
And, I think a lot of times I just got the opportunity where I always say this, and I'll say this till I'm done teaching and beyond. They just let me in their lives, and I felt like high schoolers, and I started off with middle school, but I've been into high schools from probably the second half of my career, and just the different conversations that I can have with the high schoolers, and just the fact that I say that they let me in their lives, and then they decide to keep me in their lives beyond that. I'm and their parents too I appreciate it.
That's amazing. And also just like working in a high school itself, like have you ever faced any problems? Let me say, because we just said like a lot of teenagers nowadays can be trouble and can be good. Have you ever faced like any problems with like any students, and how did you come to resolve that?
You know what? I've had problems. Probably often, but just a lot of times I spend the beginning of the year and I stress relationships over academics. And by spending those times and by building those relationships and those strong foundations, it can diffuse a lot of problems where I'm even getting phone calls from administration in my building or other teachers. Hey, can you help me out with the student? I know you have that relationship with them. And as a teacher, we wear a lot of different hats. We're counselors, we're parents, we're life advice, and obviously teachers. But again, a lot of the problems I'm able to diffuse just based on the relationships. And I say this in the most humble way. I can sometimes stop a fight just by them hearing my voice and saying, hey, or help me out. And they know my voice, and they're like, it's Mr. P or it's Panessa. So again, I would say really just spending a lot of time on those relationships versus academics up front, and that'll truly carry you to different levels, whether, even inside of the classroom and beyond.
Right. And do you think that's one thing that a lot of teachers are missing nowadays? Because like you just said, like just kind of like getting into those kids' lives, because you don't know what they're dealing with at home. So whatever trauma they have at home, they will sometimes bring it to school. It's like, do you think a lot of teachers are actually seeing that and actually adjusting to that kind of like way of teaching?
I think some, and I don't want to say that I'm the only one. I'm the best teacher on the face of the planet. I'm the only teacher, but I will say some teachers I just don't think want to make time to understand. They might be of the old philosophy. Well, hey, life's challenging. We got to work through them. We can't sit here and baby them. But I will say this though, like that stuff that that time that you put up front, it pays off tenfold later in the back end, and I think it starts to help those students out. And a lot of times it's not even like it's just short conversations that you might take after the class, before the class, just giving that student or those students a little bit extra time, and they're like, okay. And you just start to ask little questions. You don't want to ask everything, and you don't want to, be too in their personal life without their permission. But you just start to ask questions, and then they start to say, wow, this teacher really cares about me, and he's not going anywhere. I think some of the teachers fall short in the fact of maybe that they have the pressure of the curriculum that they have to get through, and they say, I'm not a counselor. That's why there's counselors here. And I think they also face the challenge of with the state testing, and not that I say I don't face those challenges too. Honestly, I'm going to go and I'm going to show up for my students every day. And I think by doing that hard work will eventually transfer with the academics and the curriculum. So
That's it.
Because again, like like Glory was saying earlier, households do affect teenagers, academics, them even coming into school, and sometimes they just need a safe place that's there, you know? So when did you start being like, you know what, I need to be more attentive? Like if the other teacher is saying that they're not looking for a counselor, then maybe I'll be the counselor that's around, you know? And also too, answer this one first. Go ahead.
Well, I had a mentor at Niagara Falls School District. Her name was Carlene Chrissa. Shouts to her. She was...
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out for sure. Carlene was awesome because in the sense where I would come in there and I would raise my voice. And she would tell me, Dave, like, listen, some of these students are used to being yelled at all the time. The quieter you are, the more they're going to be attentive to you. And just by her teaching me those kind of things and those kind of little things, they added to the bigger picture. So because she was a teacher longer than me and because she was my mentor, she gave me a lot of different advice and a lot of different strategies to use with students. Mm-hmm. So I think your question was, when did I know that I had to like give it more attention?
Yeah.
I guess when I was at the end of the class, and I know I don't have any hair right now, but when I was at the end of the class, I was ready to almost pull my hair out in the sense of like, I was getting so angry and upset. And I was like, wait a minute, this isn't why I became a teacher. Mm-hmm. I'm here getting angry and upset because the students aren't really necessarily attentive. But at the same time, am I being attentive to them? Am I giving them the best? Or am I just expecting them to show up, mm-hmm. be quiet, here's the work, do it, and let's keep it moving? Nah, like that accountability. Where I always teach my students, own it, fix it, learn from it, move on. So I had to own it. I had to take some over. Listen, my bad. Like, I'm not necessarily giving as much attention to this stuff as I possibly could.
Mm. Right. So also too, like, you're a DJ too. So like, when did you ever cross like the classroom and DJs together? And of course we know this because he performed at proms and such, but like, what about in the classroom? Like, is that a discussion at all?
Yeah, I had a coaching job with my girl Keziah Pearson. She was at East, but we were at Hamlin Park together. School 74. 74 is a great place, Hamlin Park. And I did a poetry unit, and the way that I would introduce a poetry unit, what I would always start off with, there's a very famous hip hop instrumental, Mobb Deep, Shook Ones Part 2. It's, if you ever seen 8 Mile, it's the same beat that Eminem freestyles over, and all the students know it. So they would all walk into class and I would just start playing it and they would all just kind of scratch their head. And then I always say this, I could teach that class 9 times or 10 times that day. And 9 out of 10 times, one young adult is going to start getting up and start rhyming words together.
Okay.
And I just say, wait, stop, hold the beat. And they're like, wait, what? I said, welcome to poetry. And they said, wait, what? So, you know, and it just kind of taught me. I found different ways, and then I started really going in the depth of different artists. And it was challenging because some of the music isn't the most appropriate. So it really forced me to dig. And you know what? If the song wasn't appropriate, there were still parts of the song that you could utilize that would, you know, apply to that figurative language that they could relate to, and they can understand. Oh, wow, he's comparing this to that. And then you can kind of transfer that over into the books of, okay, well, what is this character doing? You know what I mean? So just really using with the poetry and music, really putting that together really was helpful.
Oh, wow. Nice. And also just to jump off on the same topic, just becoming a DJ as well, like, was that ever been like a challenging thing for you to do? And did you ever face any criticism from your peers at work and stuff like that? Yeah,
I mean, I still face it. My peers at work, I mean, he tries to be too cool with them. He tries to be too down with them.
They jealous.
No, drop the bomb. Yeah, that's right. No, but you know what? In all honesty, like, I will have to say too, it was definitely an adjustment that I had to learn personally of boundaries, right? Although I might have been up on all their current music, I still had to realize that some of the things and some of the lyrics, you still couldn't incorporate those in the classroom. It's just not appropriate. But you know, ask any of my former students or current students, you know, we'll be teaching something in class and something will apply to a song, and like, you know, somebody might, you know, I'll just throw a random lyric in, like, you know, and I guess like I'll give the most basic example. I'll be like, oh, like somebody's like, yeah, you're snoozing. I'm like, I cannot, and I'll just start singing the SZA snooze in the middle of class, and they all roll their eyes. But it's just an illusion to show them like that, lyrics can be, kind of applicable and we can still use them. And, I will say, like, too, I also use just classical or just calming music when students walk in the room, when they would come in before a quick write, just having some calm music for them to walk into. I always tell them, like, I used to listen to classical music on the way to all my college exams because I was an English major and I had a lot to memorize and I didn't want any lyrics. So I would just literally drive to school for my exams and just listen to classical music.
That's it. And that you just brought up you explaining how like some teachers might feel and so on. But like, how did you kind of like handle that criticism? Because I wanna actually get like a more answer into that, like, because a lot of times, when you're doing something you enjoy doing, plus you involving something else so you enjoy doing, but you're getting so much criticism, some people tend to give up, but like, how do you handle and how do you respond to them in the most respectful way when they try to like come at you with like all those hateful or jealous words, whatever they try to use?
That's a great question. Thank you for asking that. I guess like I'm somebody, so if somebody has good intentions and I feel like just that they really have general interest and want to see me be a better teacher, I'm pretty attentive to it. And you know what? I'm 39 years old and I'm still a student today. So I'm still attentive. And if a teacher or an administrator has a piece of advice that could benefit, then I'm going to take that advice all day long. Even, I have a couple friends who are my close friends and like, P, you might want to be a little careful with that.
You welcomed in criticism.
Yeah, because you know what? They're looking out for me. And it's tough, being a male teacher, it can sometimes be tough to navigate. So, because I don't want to put myself in any of those positions, I do take my parents have been really supportive and helpful with that as well. But if it's a teacher that is just being hateful or, excuse me, jealous, I'll still be attentive because you know what? Like maybe, excuse me, maybe there's something that I might take out of it. So, because at the end of the day, everybody loves to give their advice.
Everybody.
Yes.
That's a good point.
And especially in the teaching field, because teachers feel like they are master of their crafts, as they should. But I think it's important, and what it's always been important for me is to realize that, okay, I can take your advice, but I need you to understand that these young adults are at the center of my heart. Okay? And I will take your advice, but I need you to understand that I will not stop showing up for these students every day. And I'm going to constantly look for different ways to make the curriculum
more engaging
or connect to them. I mean, and you kind of said like about student, like my first words when my students come into my building, thanks for coming today. What? I had to come. No, you didn't. You got on a bus. You could, but the bus brought me here. I was like, well, you could have got off. But I said, you're missing my point. Just thank you for coming. You made my day today. Wait, why? I'm like, because I come for you.
That's so important to say to students. Like, I feel like, once you're in college, you have the right if you want to go into classes or not, you know? And a lot of people, I feel like they step away from in-person classes because the teacher doesn't know how to work with them or know how to be like, okay, I see that you're struggling here. Let me give in some, But now I realize, because I take online classes, when I had in-person classes, like my favorite teacher was my oh my goodness, my mind right now, but creative writing teacher in Nebraska. Wow. And this person was so good to me, and I needed them to be like, interactive with me. Like, also, like you said, they put in lyrics to kind of keep me engaged into the class, made it more personal. And I think that's super important. But also too, like you talked about how sometimes you set the space with music. When did you start making music an important thing in your life where you're like, because DJs too, they have to know what type of beat to put on the party to make people move and dance. Like, when did you start taking music more seriously? In a way, yeah.
In the classroom or just DJing? Or
in general, like how does that,
when I saw just the amount of just what music did for me, as far as me as a student who had a hard time concentrating and had a hard time sitting still, and I saw what it could do for me. So, and you know what, I got to go back to my parents and just my parents constantly playing music at the house, whether we're cleaning the house or we're just hanging out or we're on a drive. and just the constant incorporation of music throughout my family growing up, at church as well. But you know, as I said, my parents showing me just the different, you know, the older music and the funk music and things like that. And then, okay, now you're seeing this music reused later on and sampled. So then I had more questions. Okay, why? Like, where'd they get the sample from? And what did they change about it? Oh, and why did they pick this one? And things of that nature. So, and just, I guess, you know what, even going to the gym and figuring and seeing what music can do to you at the gym. And okay, why can't this transfer over to a classroom? You know what I mean? Because I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I wake up sometimes and don't want to go to the gym. I go almost 7 days a week.
It'd be like that.
It'd be like that, but you know, you throw a little bit of Future on and shoot.
I'm ready to go.
Listen, I got this.
You know, you feel something like that.
Oh yeah, hey, that's okay. Right. Now I'm running 6-minute miles right now, and I'm like, shoot, talk to me, talk nice to me, right?
That's
so just seeing what that could do for, you know, not only your focus, but and let's be honest too, like music really helps us through challenging times, and a lot of times, like you said with the quick writes, like I love that your teacher did that for you, because a lot of time that's what I use in my classroom. The opening of it is a quick write. Do a quick write, and you know, sometimes I'll give, you know, loyalty or respect. Would you rather have, or just questions like that? And they're like, oh, okay, like we're not gonna
prompts,
just little like, or you know, would you rather be feared or loved? And they're like, oh, like, where are we going with this? And I'm just like, right, but you know, and just so they know that, you know what, I do have some things that I have to teach you, but doesn't mean I can't slide a couple other things in there that we can.
Yeah. Because like you said, what was your saying that you said often?
And this is, I truly believe it. Conversations are the birthplace of change. And you know, like I've had this conversation with so many different age groups of people, and it's true because, and it's unfortunate because, and kind of to your point about the other teachers I kind of hate, like, you know, we'll oftentimes as teachers have conversations about like, they'll be no, but for real, like we'll have conversations about like, oh, like, well, oh, these students are struggling, right. And a lot of times they don't want to take it any further. Like, okay, well, just let's keep it moving, and they don't want not all teachers, but same thing with people in general. Like they have conversations, and then you get to a point where you can't agree, and then they're like, okay, well, the heck with it, let's just keep it moving.
Yeah. But
you're like, well, wait, like let's talk a little bit more.
This can go a little further.
Yeah, like
yes.
And don't get me wrong, I understand how feelings, can get brought into it. But, you know, and one thing I like to always teach my students that is super important, that has been benefit, is compartmentalizing.
Break that down.
You right, talk nice to me. You talked about students coming in, and I want to go back to that for a second, coming in and not knowing what's necessarily going on at home or what's going on in their lives. Right. And to that point, my life too, like, as I said, I'm a co-parent, and I sometimes have some challenging things going on in my life. But I tell my students, like when they come in and they're treating me a certain type of way, I'm like, listen, what's going on? And then they tell me, I'm like, listen, I understand that. And I want to teach you something very young. It's called compartmentalizing. I'm not the person that's responsible for the way that you feel. However, I can still talk with you through it if you'd like. And I want you to realize something. Did you know that walking in here today, or like, I'll give you an example. Did you know that, like, you know, last night my dog died? No, I didn't know that. I said, do you know why you don't know that? Because I'm compartmentalizing. I'm upset. But at the end of the day, I realize that you guys are the most important to me. So I have to shift my focus, and I have to use, you know, in a sense, you guys are my therapy. Like being here with you guys is and you know, just trying to help my students compartmentalize and take accountability.
Definitely. And also, I want to also ask you this, just being a DJ, right? When you were a DJ, you were booked at different events. You know, you're booked at different events here and there. But, like, how do you manage to work with different demographics in terms of, like, age, in terms of, like, race, in terms of, like, just also backgrounds? You know, like, how do you manage to work with all those different type of people? I
love this question. Like, this question is...
That's the one.
It is. And you know what? Like, shouts to shit, you know, I'm going to say shouts to the city of Buffalo. Shouts to my students. My students were always co-signing on me and always just... My students are always promoting me, and they're always, Mr. P's the best. So thank you. But I will say, like, that's a great question. But really spending a lot of time not only listening to other DJs, got to do my homework, but going to different events, listening to different stations. XM Radio has a lot of good different stations. You know, I've DJed things from bar mitzvahs. I've DJed, a Middle Eastern wedding. I've had the opportunity to pretty much DJ for almost every demographic. And to your point, I had former students that I taught at iPrep at Grover. They invited me to their wedding, and I would go and I would just listen and watch and just let it be an experience for me. You know, I didn't want to be like, like I was staring or I was being, obvious, but just really like, taking the Shazam out. Oh, what song is this? And what song is this? And really just putting myself in different spaces with different DJs, studying different music, and really just, like I said, sometimes I will say, like, going to these spaces, you sometimes have to make the uncomfortable comfortable. Like, people might look at you a certain type of way, but when you continue to show your face around, you make it comfortable for them, and they're like, okay, he's here because he wants to be here.
Yeah.
So, I don't mean to go the long way of that question, but to answer your question, for a lot of people that have hired me for trusting me to do that homework, and for the other DJs who have inspired me out there, and who have, DJ Illmatic, he's a great DJ from Buffalo. He's really good with like the reggae and the soca. I used to DJ at a spot called the Oak Room. Shout out to Dennis and Kurt.
Oak Room.
Dennis and Kurt, love them guys. They're family, the whole Oak Room family. But and just going there and listening to another other DJs DJ, and even going there and like really to your point, like earlier on in my career, I wasn't always booked. So I would what DJs here? I would go out and see what other DJs. And I don't want anything I'm biting anybody else's style. Right. But it was to your point, because, I would say, like, I could go from the club, to the classroom to the club sometimes. And I got to be ready for that. Like,
you got to
stay ready. So you got to get ready. Right.
Yeah.
So like, for example, like on a Saturday, I DJ for like, 4 to 7 year olds at the Boulevard by Target. Right. And I have to have music that's appropriate for that. Right. Later that day, I might have a wedding, and then later that night, I might be somewhere in a club. So
busy schedule.
So another question. So I went to a bar, right? And then it was an event that was happening there, and this DJ cannot read the room. Everybody's just standing around like side to side. And this DJ, I'm sorry, his set was just not it. Do you pick up on the energy in the room, like when you're like, oh, I need to change this song right now?
And you know what? To your point, criticism. I've had people be like, P, like, you kind of want, and yes. Excuse me. It's okay. Really good at reading the room. But you know what? Not only just reading the room, but I know DJs are going to get really mad, but be open to requests. They save you something.
Yes.
Yep. You know what's crazy? I've seen DJs starting to charge people $50 to $100 just for a request. I'm like, bro, like, are you trying to scam people, bro? Just read the room, man. Just read the room. Don't give people what they want.
Because isn't a DJ supposed to be like giving out the energy? Like, you are the base of everybody's movement in the room, for real.
Yeah, and like I've learned a lot from people just requesting stuff, and I'm like, oh shoot, like this is, and I'm like, wow, I forgot about this song, and it still works. So, and don't get me wrong, like there are some definitely left of center requests that you're like, okay, not gonna happen. However, but as I said, you got to be really open to people's requests. And if somebody wants to tip me, that's cool. Like I had one of my best friends. He taught me so much about DJing after Mike. His name was Gary Hall. G Money.
Shout out G Money.
Shout out G Money. I mean, when I tell you that he's been a rock and an absolute. I love him to death. He's my brother. He's my family. He's my son's godfather. But my point is, like, just he always told me, like, you can take a tip. If somebody offers to you, definitely take it in this industry. But don't be the DJ that has that holds their Venmo up for a request. Like, I get it. Like, and I'm not hating.
Yo, go right here, man.
And I'm not hating.
And it's not even their own music. I just said I want to play some Cardi B.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, and so to that. So here's what I'll say though. Like, okay, don't give me I don't expect somebody to pay me to play Sexy Red. Okay, like that. I'm gonna play it. But at least give me a time. Like, give me some time. Or
They want it done at that time. Like they come up there, they're like, put the song on.
Yeah, don't hit me with the listen. My friends and I are leaving. Can you play our song? I'm like, and don't get me wrong. Like I feel like I need to, and I like to appease the room, and I like to speak, and I know it's gonna pop off.
Right.
But at the same time, at least work with me, or like, don't be that person that like 3 songs. After you request a song, 3 songs later, it's still not coming on, and you're like, what's he doing?
They just there.
I need to
I'm that person.
Nah, it's just when you're DJing, you're dealing with BPMs and things of that nature, and you could probably use a sound effect and make it sound right, but if you want to do it the right way, you can't. And you know what? And if I'm being honest with you too, like really, what I found out with reading the room, what really has really been beneficial is really just pockets of music. They refer to me as like an open format DJ, which means like I'm open format. And just the opportunity that I've had to DJ between the casino and all these different events and venues, being able to play like 70s music or going into some hip hop or going into some R&B, like just going into these different, like
I've seen you been playing some Afro beats too.
Oh, I'm like, listen.
You know what I'm saying, man?
Well, I mean, shouts to Davido, right?
Davido, Obio, Bades.
Listen, Afro beats, wow. I have to be honest with you. It's become one of my favorite genres. I love the energy that it gives off. I love the impact that it always has. And I love the fact that it's really going across genres now. It's making its way. I mean, we saw "Calm Down" make its way over to the pop with Selena Gomez. So I love Afro beats, and I really enjoy the different lyrics that go along with it, and the beat, and just the drum patterns. And if I'm being honest with you, like really, reggae is really what taught me how to really beat match. Fun fact: when I learned with the drum, reggae and reggaeton, like it had a very similar drum pattern. It really taught me. So,
and you know how we're talking about the DJs, right?
Yeah.
So in our African cultures, if you're a DJ and people request a song, and you say, I got you, but you continue to play something else, you're going to see a fist coming your way.
Oh, disrespect.
Yeah. Sometimes it happens, like there's those people that drink too much, they get so drunk. So like they feel like, you know what, whatever song I want to hear, I'm going to hear it tonight. So a lot of times some DJs might be like, no, get out of here. And it will cause a lot of chaos, So, yeah, and being a DJ also and being a father, let me just jump to the next question here. How do you kind of like balance the two? Because you say you co-parent, co-parent, and co-parenting is hard. Let me say it's your time to look after the kid. Like how do you manage and say, you know what, oh my gosh, I have a party, but like how do you kind of like balance the two?
Shout out to my parents and my sister. But I have to say it was a huge adjustment. I don't want to sound like I'm being overly confident, but I've been very fortunate where I pretty much I was pretty much at one time like booked every weekend and pretty much 2 or 3 times a week, and I never thought that was gonna. When I first started this off.
Come on.
I remember when I first started off, I was like, I would DJ until like September, October, wedding season was over. I would put my DJ equipment away and be like, all right, nobody needs a DJ. What? I'm getting holiday parties. I was doing Taco Tuesday every Tuesday. So get back to your question. My parents really made me do some really serious reflecting. Listen, we understand that you are that you're a DJ that has a lot of good relationships and that you have a lot of opportunities in front of you. But we need you to understand that you are a father first. And I trust me, I know that.
Right.
But I guess my parents said to me, if there is any business that you tell or anybody that you work for or anybody that asks you to DJ an event, if they don't understand that that's the weekend with your son or that's the week with your son,
leave him.
Then that's not then that money's not for you. So
period.
And I will say, fortunately or unfortunately, sometimes it happens where I have my son, but I also have to DJ later that night. So I'll give an example. Like my son's been playing soccer and hockey, but guess what? I'm getting up early. I'm making sure he's getting to hockey. We're going to breakfast. I'm still gonna make sure that most of that day is filled with me being around my son, and we're gonna be doing active things, and we're gonna be. I might bring him to help me set up, and he kind of likes that feeling. Like I said, he's gonna be 6 this month, but I've really taken the opportunity over the last probably year to really not schedule things when have my son.
That's it. W dad. They say W dad.
W dad. You know, and my father has been in my life all my life, and my mom as well. But my father has been in my life, and I have a son as well. So, and both are extremely important roles. But being a co-parent and my role as a dad, I realized that like I need to be there. You know, and just I've been
important.
I've been a father to a lot of my young adults who let me. So why would I need to be a father of my own? And not to say that I wasn't, but to say that like I was having a little bit more of a hard time. Like, can I just DJ this event and I'll be all right? And I'll DJ, whatever. I'll DJ, 2 out of the 3 nights I have. No, and I even this past summer I gave up summer school for the first time in 18 years. And my son's mom was nice enough to let me, I would take him the first half of the week. I would get him Sunday to Wednesday. And we do Sunday dinner at my family's every Sunday. My mom still hosts Sunday dinner every Sunday.
Come on, Mom.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're looking for a +1, but, I haven't found her yet. I'm trying to find a girl. Like I always tell it. I always tell the girl, if she gets a +1 invite to the Sunday dinner, you made it big.
You made it big.
You made it big, man. Especially sitting in front of your parents, your son, especially,
my sister.
Like, made it big. That's
so,
big.
Those things became like, my mom and just like we love having you at Sunday dinner. We don't want to have to like not have you around. So, like I said, during the summer when school's not in session, Sunday to pretty much half the beginning of the week, and that works out a little bit more for the latter half of my schedule where I usually am more so DJing on the weekends. But like I said, so to answer your question, it was a very tough adjustment at first, but one that needed to be made.
That's it. And you're doing a great job, man. You're doing a great job. So, yeah, man. So, this is Isip and Chop Podcast. So, watch out for part 2. All right. So, we're just going to close out with part 1 because we're running out of time. Thank you so much. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Don't forget, go on Instagram and follow DJPNASTY.
That's right. Thank you so much for your guys' time. Thank you for taking the time to listen.
Yes, sir.
Shouts to the city of Buffalo and beyond. And I really appreciate everybody always holding me down. And I always appreciate everybody just supporting me and loving me. I'm so blessed.
So blessed, man. This is Isip and Chop Podcast. This is your host, Glory Boy.
And it's your girl, Alex. What's up? Bye.
We're out of here, man. Let's go.